A little bit more of an identity on offense, I think. We still have to clean up some things on both ends defensively. Still not as clean as we need to be on some areas, but we've played hard. I would say, probably the biggest thing now is, continuing to find our identity, having guys mesh, finding the best units to play together, who is kind of in synergy the best as a group. We've rebounded the ball better, but obviously the competition is, going to get a little bit bigger, stronger. So we're going to see if we can continue doing that.
Would you say that offensive identity is, or what it ideally is?
I think it's, it's like most of Coach Barnes' teams. I think last year was a little bit of an anomaly with Dalton, because he was such a terrific scorer. But by committee, sharing the basketball, making that one more, finding guys, getting a ball to guys in location where they can really be effective, and we're still figuring that out, right? So, we're like in the last couple games, Egor's been more productive. He's slowed down a little bit, something that coach has been preaching to him. I think Zakai's starting to feel a little more comfortable with this group. Felix is finding a niche. Chaz, it was good to see when he scores 5 points in a game that we could still score 100 points. So there's some good things happening.
What did you like from Egor when you saw him kind of take the lead, especially like maybe against Montana when Chaz is in foul trouble and he kind of just took the lead offensively?
Yeah, I think, Egor's a guy that's got a very high skill set. Now, learning, when and where to use it based upon what we expect and what this offense does in terms of its flow and continuity is something he's gotten. But we like to see that he was confident, that, like you said, he was aggressive, he was assertive. That was big for us in that game.
Rick said JP's kind of day-to-day. You think he'll be available anytime soon, or any idea there?
No idea on that. Yeah, day-to-day I think is the best way to put it.
Looked like Cam had some kind of thumb hand issue late.
Not sure. We were off yesterday, so I probably would know more when I walk downstairs. Yeah.
How confident are you that Cade can successfully play the 5 spot for however many minutes a game you would need him there?
Well, he is physically tough enough to do it, that's for sure. Like me, although we're thin, we're very strong. No, just kidding about me. You guys like that? So, now, Cade is a physically tough, strong guy, but weight is an issue, right? But he's going to give us all he has. And again, Egor's big enough to give us some minutes there, and there are times we're going to switch off, and we're confident in those guys. The great thing about all three of those guys is that they're all capable of moving their feet. They're light on their feet. They're fairly athletic. I would call Felix even an elite athlete for his position. And then you always have Jemai Meshack in your pocket, which is a great feeling.
Coach, where do you see the biggest growth with Zakai? It seems like he's playing, I don't know, a different level, I guess, right now.
Yeah, I think all the hard work. I think when you see Zakai struggle, it's because he's so hard on himself. And I know he and I and Coach and everybody's had conversations with him about, it's not a perfect game. There's going to be mistakes, so don't feel like it's all on your shoulders. I think him understanding that, we call it point guard heavy when he wants to, because he's so competitive, and Coach has said this many times, he wants to create or make up for what happened on the last play instead of letting the ball move freely and let other guys help him out. I think that's where he's getting a little bit better and improving.
Coach, do you like playing in these types of tournaments?
I love it. I think it's a great preparation. Coach talks about it like an NCAA bracket, right? It's NCAA brackets are 2-game tournaments. Although this is back-to-back, that is fine. The competition will be stiff. It's really good. And, it helps us find out where we are.
Is Virginia pretty much what Virginia's always been, even though Tony Bennett is gone?
Yeah, they're a little different. And I'm not quite sure. I mean, we all split scouts. This happens to be one that fell to me. And watching them play, they are very similar. They're a team that's a well-oiled machine. They play with a great sense of identity at both ends of the court. I always thought, even in my previous days, when I saw teams that have a sense of identity, know who they are, what they want to get done. Those are well-coached teams, and this is one of them.
I mean, Keeley, I know it's a small sample size, but I mean, is that an anomaly, or is that somebody that you guys really have to go find on the perimeter? Like that?
Yeah, all our analytics tell us that it's not an anomaly, that he's real. I got to see him up close, but my first inclination is, he'll have a chance to play basketball for a while because he can make contested shots. And that's what that league is, right? With the length, NBA or EuroLeague or Euro Cup, whatever he ends up playing, he's a really, really good basketball player. I would call him an elite level shooter. Last year he was about 45% from three. This year he's about 65% on threes. And if you watch the shots he makes, they look like shots that guys make at the next level.
I was speaking of the NBA, I've been able to see what DK's been doing lately.
Yeah.
Not surprising.
If he came back through the door, we'd welcome him with open arms. We'd be happy to have him one more year. And then one more year. But no, it's not surprising. I think that knowing some of the guys, one of their scouts that had called me during this process, was asking a little bit the other day. It was kind of interesting, I think he had struggled a couple of games. And, my comment was, I'm not there with you guys, but I wouldn't worry about it. I think, hey, you guys, JJ will figure it out. He was a shooter. DK's more than that, as we all know, but it's not shocking. He's got that mentality and that, mental toughness to get through this. I think learning how to play with great players, legendary players, is something new. You're not always getting it when you are open because those guys are so good. They're going to do what they do. But I think he's starting to acclimate to the situation, and you're seeing some great performances.
How different is it playing a team like Virginia that plays with that tempo and the way they approach the game? Do you have to prepare differently, or how do guys approach that?
Yeah, I think that the biggest thing is, we're not going to shut them out. We're not going to keep them from playing at the tempo they play. They practice it every single day. I think last year they led the country in off-ball screening actions. They get guys open, right? So the thing for us to do is make every catch a tough one, every shot a tough one. Almost half their attempts are from three, so can we limit that or at least make them tough? Louisville took 39 of them, but at least we made a lot of them tough. So you're not going to keep them from getting those shots. It's making them tougher. And, I think we have the kind of team that can grind through possessions, which is what they do. We know that they embrace using the shot clock. So it's going to be a different challenge for us, a unique challenge for us, but also a very good one.
Defensively, where do you need to see this team take the next step, not only to be competitive against Virginia, but the tournament as a whole?
I would say, two areas would be level of concentration, communication, because we're going to get effort. And we're fortunate enough to have the guy that just walked in, Jordan Gainey, Jemai Meshach, Zakai, our seniors that have been here that do a great job of doing everything we talk about, right? Talking, switching, things that cause confusion we got to get a little better with, but overall we're getting a good effort from our team.
Would you assess what Bishop's given y'all to this point?
Bish is a tough dude, as I say about Shaq. And some of those guys, I hope I look like him when I grow up. He is already physically a man. I think just his ability to defend at such a young age is rare. Most guys he came from a great high school program, which helped, Myers Park. Terrific in that regard. I think for Coach and for Bish, just being a better decision maker, and that comes with time. You can't rush that.
It seems like Felix is always in the right spot, the dunker spot, when Zakai is driving. Was that something you guys taught him, or was that an innate trait that he's had?
Well, I think both. I think he's played off the ball a lot, played off of others, and learned to do that. I think here we've tried to develop, and we are, not just take the word try out. Felix is really working to develop. We're really working to develop an inside game with him because we think he has that ability. But at the same time, he's smart enough to realize the quickest guy on the court is number 5. He can get the spaces in relation to the ball. Where do I need to be effective and simplify the game? You're welcome. Okay.